Okay, everybody, here we are, installment number 5 of Jesse's Ukebox, and I'm sitting here with my kind of family heirloom ukulele. It's a tenor ukulele made by Kamaka. Kamaka is probably the premier legacy manufacturer of ukuleles. And so if you go and want to buy a tenor ukulele from Kamaka right now, you're probably starting around $1,200. Part of that is reputation, but also just getting something made in Hawaii is pretty special. So let me tell you about buying a Kamaka or other premium ukulele in Hawaii. The reason they're so expensive, number one, they're handmade by someone there, and it does take weeks to build a ukulele right, even if you have an assembly line going. The other thing that makes them very expensive is that they're made of an acacia wood that in Hawaii they call koa wood, K-O-A. And koa wood, if it's very curly or very quilted, is very beautiful and very hard to get. But this is a koa Kamaka tenor ukulele 1959, and it's not very attractive at all. Brown, kind of some light streaks on it. This is not a premium version. Anyway, this is 1959, my mother's wedding gift from my Hawaiian grandfather. So this installment, we're going to talk about tuning. And why would I think about making an installment just about tuning? Well, number one is a lot of people get an ukulele with the intention of learning it, or they give it to a young child and say, here's a musical instrument, play it. And then they pick it up and it sounds like this. And they go, no, it's not musical, and they set it aside and it's never used again. So learning to tune your ukulele is so important so that it sounds the way it's supposed to. And one of the issues with cheaper ukuleles, and there's nothing inherently wrong with them, but the very cheapest or the very old ones have friction tuners. So I'm going to hold this old Kamaka ukulele up to the camera here, and you can see they're just pegs that go straight through the peg head, and that's all they are. And they only hold their tune by the friction of the peg in the hole, not unlike a violin or a similar instrument. But these are somewhat modern tuners, even 1959, because when you turn them around, there's a little screw in each one of these. And if this is slipping each time you tune it up to the right tuning, you tighten the screw of the one that's slipping just a little bit, not a ton, and then it starts to grab again. The other thing is if you have a very old ukulele with just a wooden peg going through the hole like a violin does, you may have to pull that out and put some rosin like you would use for a violin bow, sticky tree sap, and then jam it back in. But if you're serious about making music, you probably don't have just friction pegs on your ukulele. But I wasn't going to change the tuners on this family heirloom, although I would love to have a modern machine type tuner. If you look, I'll take my tuner off there. This is your standard tuner where the peg is at 90 degrees to the head right here, and there's a gearing right in here, and for every 8 or 10 times you turn the little knob right here, it only goes around once up here. So it's geared, it makes it easier, and they hold better. So what if you do have an ukulele with just a friction tuner on it and you want to do something better? Well, I'll show you what I did to my banjo, kind of an old beat up banjo. It just had friction tuners on it. So I changed them and put on something called a Planetary tuner. So although it looks like just kind of a fat, straight friction peg, there's actually gears inside there. And it holds tune much better than just a straight peg through there. So this set of Planetary tuners, very common on banjos, was about $60, a little over $60 on eBay. And these very simple ones, you just shove them through the hole and put a nut on and they work. So the reason they don't spin on you is there's a little pin that kind of embeds itself in the wood of the headstock and it doesn't turn. So I was able to get this banjo in tune. It wouldn't hold tune with just friction pegs. Don't worry, we're not going to Jesse's banjo box. That's just to show one way you can upgrade from friction tuners is with Planetary tuners. I could also, if the headstock's big enough, put machine tuners on these. So you've got to learn how to tune your ukulele so that when you pick it up, it does what you expect it to do. So as I have shown in the past, there are 4 basic sizes of ukulele: soprano, concert, tenor, baritone. This is a tenor, as is my old Koa 1959 tenor, and it's tuned GCEA, sometimes with a low G or a high G. And sometimes I just use a piano like this, G. Let's see. C, E, A. Now what if you don't have a piano and you still need to tune your ukulele? You can go on YouTube and look for ukulele tuning tones, and a lot of people have made just a very simple video that has the tones coming out and you can match it to those tones. The way most people tune is with an electronic clip-on tuner, and these are just sensitive to the vibrations of the instrument. And if I put it on there, and maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. Okay, let's see, kind of hard to see. Something like this with a digital readout is going to tell you if you're high or low. It helps to kind of know where you are, because you don't want to have it a full octave too high. You'll break a string or you'll never get it close. So it doesn't hurt to just go on YouTube and bookmark one of those places where somebody has just done this, so that you know what it's supposed to sound like and you can tune up quickly. So if I was to, okay, that's not right. I'm going to tune this back up to a C, and it says B right here. I'm bringing it up, and I'm waiting till that needle goes green right in the middle. There we go. That's a little high. Okay, that's why it's so important. If you have an ukulele laying around and you have not played it for a while, it could be that it's out of tune and it's just not talking to you the right way when you pick it up. So think about learning how to tune it. Go to YouTube, find a video with those tones on it and just tune it to those tones, or use your a piano or keyboard you might have at home that goes, let's see, so that's C, G. Now people say, I have a defective ukulele, it goes out of tune if I just don't play it for a day or two. These instruments go out of tune within minutes of tuning. Why is that? Is that because these machines are broken? No, it's because they've got soft plastic strings that change with the humidity, with the temperature in the room. Sudden temperature changes can throw your tuning way off, so you just get used to sitting down, tuning. And then once you're tuned, play for a while, and then check it again with your electronic tuner or with your piano. And just see how long does tuning last. Not very long, especially if you're hitting it with your fingertips or thumb or however you happen to strum. it's going to go out of tune. So don't think it's defective. Just learn to tune and figure out what it sounds like the way it's supposed to be. Okay, these strings are all in agreement, but if it wasn't in tune, you wouldn't want to play it. So if you have a very cheap or a very old ukulele that has friction pegs and it's not holding, tighten them up, or add some rosin to the outside of the peg and jam it back in there, or consider changing it over to machine type tuners like this that have gears inside. Okay, well, each time I'm going to try and highlight an ukulele player, and today I want it to be Jake Shimabukuro, and he's probably the most famous ukulele player now. And Jake Shimabukuro is from Hawaii. He is ethnically Japanese, but plays wonderful Hawaiian music at times. When you see him in concert, he's playing instrumental music mostly on his custom Kamaka ukulele. So if you see a Jake Shimabukuro model, they are probably around, oh, that's not a very good picture, is it? They're probably around $6,000 to buy a Jake Shimabukuro model, and they are just beautifully ornate koa wood. And if you hear Jake in concert, you will hear him playing mostly instrumental music. But my favorite era of Jake Shimabukuro music is when he played with a band called Pure Heart, and that would be basically back in the 90s before he broke out as a solo artist on the ukulele. And very much worth going back and checking out Jake Shimabukuro and his ukulele. So remember tuning. If you can get a clip-on tuner, 10 to 20 bucks generally. They take a little button battery you may have to replace periodically, but it's going to make you it's going to give you much more enjoyment when you pick up your uke and you can put it in tune, and it's going to sound beautiful. Okay, so here is my family ukulele, also a low G tuning. That doesn't sound right. Okay, I'm going to tune this up. Okay, koa wood is from a tree that everywhere else is called acacia, A-C-A-C-I-A. Acacia wood comes from all over the warm parts of the world. It's not rare. But koa wood, or the acacia grown in Hawaii, is somewhat rare. So you're going to pay a premium price to get an ukulele made out of koa, especially solid koa. But you can buy a Chinese or Indonesian built inexpensive ukulele, relatively inexpensive, that they will say has koa on the outside, but what it likely is acacia wood from somewhere else. Australia, Tasmania, any number of places where you can find acacia wood. The acacia wood in Hawaii, called koa, can grow in such a way that it can get very curly in the grain and quilted. And if you were going to have a custom-made ukulele made out of a very curly set, the set alone may cost you $500 or $1,000, or the set of wood that would then be made into an ukulele. So thanks, everybody. We've met Jake Shimabukuro. We've talked about tuning. Get yourself a tuner. Learn how to use a keyboard. Get used to hearing what your uk sounds like. And again, the tenor is GCEA.